It's a strange thing, isn't it? The way people transform behind a screen. Someone who might hold the door open for you in real life might tear you apart in a comment section. The internet, for all its wonders, seems to unlock something sharper, more ruthless. But why? What changes when we type instead of talk? The answer isn't simple, because human nature isn't simple. But if we look deeper, at psychology, at social behavior, at the way our minds are wired, we start to see a pattern. The mask of anonymity. Imagine walking into a crowded room knowing no one could ever recognize you. No consequences, no accountability. Would you act the same way? Most people would like to think so, but psychology says otherwise. There's a well-documented phenomenon called the online disinhibition effect, a fancy way of saying that when people feel invisible, they behave differently. The polite, restrained, social version of us starts to fade. Why? Because in face-to-face interactions, social consequences shape our behavior. When we're rude, we see the immediate impact. A frown, a pause, a shift in body language that tells us we've crossed a line. Online, those cues disappear. No visible hurt, no awkward silence, just words on a screen. The brain, designed to read human emotion through tone and expression, suddenly finds itself in an environment where those signals are missing. And when there's no feedback, we start to feel untouchable. It's not that people become someone else online. It's that the usual barriers, the ones that make us hesitate before being cruel, aren't there anymore. The distance effect. Think about road rage. You're driving, and someone cuts you off. In that moment, they're not a person anymore. They're that idiot in the blue car. You don't see their face. You don't know their story. Maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe they just made a mistake. But your brain doesn't fill in those blanks. It reduces them to an obstacle, an annoyance, a villain in your story. The same thing happens online. Someone disagrees with you in a comment? They're not a person with a full life, emotions, struggles. They're just that username with a bad opinion. This is called depersonalization, when distance makes us see people as concepts rather than individuals. The less human they seem, the easier it is to treat them cruelly. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Our brains struggle to empathize with text alone. In real life, mirror neurons help us feel what others feel. When we see someone in pain, our brain lights up as if we're experiencing it ourselves. That's why watching someone cry makes us uncomfortable, why seeing someone smile can make us smile too. But words on a screen, they don't trigger the same response. No face, no voice, no pain that we can feel, just text. And so, without realizing it, we treat people as if they don't have emotions, because, in that moment, our brains can't feel them. The reward of outrage. Let's be honest. If kindness and cruelty got the same attention online, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But they don't. Anger spreads faster than understanding. A polite, well-reasoned comment might get a few likes, but an aggressive, sarcastic reply? That one explodes. Why? Because outrage is engaging. Psychologists call it negative bias, our tendency to focus more on threats than positive experiences. It's a survival instinct. Back in the wild, noticing danger meant the difference between life and death. Now, it just means we're more likely to click on drama. And the internet runs on clicks. Algorithms don't have morals. They don't care about truth or kindness. They only care about one thing: what keeps people engaged. And nothing engages like a fight. A nasty comment gets a reply. That reply sparks another. Soon, it's a wildfire of arguments, and every response tells the algorithm, "This is interesting. Show it to more people." Negativity isn't just allowed online, it's rewarded. And humans, being humans, chase rewards. The echo chamber effect. There's another reason people feel emboldened to be mean online. They rarely feel alone in it. The internet isn't a single conversation. It's millions of tiny rooms, each one filled with people who think alike. Psychologists call this group polarization, when people reinforce each other's opinions until they become more extreme. In the real world, if you say something cruel, there's a chance someone will challenge you. Online, you'll likely find a crowd that cheers you on. And the more people agree with you, the less you question yourself. Slowly, what was once rude starts feeling normal. And when cruelty becomes normalized, it spreads. The speed trap. Why we type before we think. There's one more factor at play. A simple one, but a powerful one. Speed. Online conversations happen at lightning speed. In real life, we pause. We think before we speak. A conversation flows with natural breaks. But typing? That's instant. There's no delay, no filter, no moment to reconsider. A split-second emotion, annoyance, frustration, boredom, becomes a permanent comment. And once it's out there, it stays. Even if you regret it, even if you wouldn't have said it in person, the internet doesn't forget. The internet didn't create cruelty, it just magnified what was already there. But it also offers a choice to pause before hitting send, to remember that a username is still a human being, a choice to recognize that what we put into the digital world shapes it. The internet isn't good or bad, it's a mirror. So the real question isn't, why are people meaner online, but what do you want to reflect?